United States President Donald Trump will face increased oversight to his decisions when the new Democratic majority takes charge of the House of Representatives tomorrow. This after the Republican Party lost a whopping 40 seats in the midterm elections, allowing Democrats to gain control of one chamber of government while the GOP retained the Senate. In a year that saw increased attacks on the media, a divisive struggle to appoint his second Supreme Court justice, an escalation in trade wars and numerous developments in the Special Counsel investigation into possible malfeasance by the Trump campaign in 2016. 2018 has been jam-packed for the 45th President of the United States. Our correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease looks back at some of the highlights from the Tweeter-in-Chief.
Where is the collusion? You know, they're still looking for collusion. Where is the collusion? No collusion. No collusion.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt.
An investigation that has been a canvas of this president's almost 2 years in office, led by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who's indicted or obtained guilty pleas from some 33 people, the latest being Trump's former personal lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen, who was sentenced to 3 years in prison for tax evasion, lying to Congress over Russian contacts, and for campaign finance violations when he made hush money payments to 2 women claiming affairs with then-candidate Trump during the 2016 presidential campaign.
His choice, time and time again, was to degrade my client, seek to intimidate her, call her and me liars, and seek to degrade the office of the presidency of the United States by seeking to buy, effectively, an election. This is an outrage. He deserves every day of the 36-month sentence that he will serve. And I will also note with great irony, Michael Cohen will report to federal prison exactly 1 year after we filed the case on behalf of Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen was sentenced today. Donald Trump is next.
Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was in August found guilty of 8 criminal counts lodged by Mueller in federal court. The other major development this year was the midterm elections, with Democrats sweeping to a House victory with the likely return of Nancy Pelosi to the speakership she once held as the first and only woman from 2007 to 2011.
It's something very, very special. And let us just take a moment to dwell upon the fact that we are in the majority. Majority, majority, majority. And that our ranking members in a matter of weeks will be Madam and Mr. Chair. And that is a great thing for the American people. We have been deputized to be a check and balance on the president and the other branches of government. And we will do that with dignity.
Which could spell bad news for the president, who has enjoyed Republican majorities in both the House and Senate during his first 2 years in office.
Most of what we're going to see out of the House over the next 2 years is on the oversight front. I tend to agree with Bill that even absent what the president said yesterday, we were not heading towards some sort of enormously legislatively productive Congress for the next 2 years. And that's in part because what Democrats, I think, in the House see part of their job after this midterm to do is to investigate the president, and importantly, not just the president. So we will see things like the Ways and Means Committee trying to obtain Trump's tax returns. We will see investigations of things like how many foreign governments are paying money to stay at the Trump Hotel, things that are very Trump-related. But we will also see a lot of oversight and investigative work on other things that have happened in the executive branch over the past 2 years that have gone unexplored.
The president's America First policy has put him at odds with the country's closest allies over his imposition of trade tariffs, his unilateral withdrawal from the Iran nuclear agreement, while doubling down on his denial of the science on climate change that some argue has been directly responsible for the breadth and scope of natural disasters in this country over the last year. His strong-arm tactics at the southern border also saw migrant children separated from their parents until the courts ordered the policy stopped.
Hey,
Trump's nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, who later fended off sexual assault allegations, split the nation after Dr. Christine Blasey Ford testified that the nominee assaulted her when they were in high school.
This whole 2-week effort has been a calculated and orchestrated political hit, fueled with apparent pent-up anger about President Trump and the 2016 election, fear that has been unfairly stoked about my judicial record, revenge on behalf of the Clintons.
Will you please repeat after me?
Despite the credible accusations leveled, the Senate confirmed Kavanaugh handing conservatives a major victory, while the president mocked the testimony of Kavanaugh's accuser.
I don't know. What neighborhood was it in? I don't know. Where's the house? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered.
Mass gun shootings also continued unabated across the country, including at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida in February that claimed 17 lives, and a massacre at a Pittsburgh synagogue in which 11 people, many elderly, were killed. And then there was the constant refrain of this president in his war with the media, including this exchange at the White House with a CNN reporter right after the midterm elections.
That's not an invasion. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
A federal judge later ordered the White House to return the journalist's credentials after it suspended him over the incident. 2018 also saw the death of veteran Senator John McCain, who had a long-running feud with the president. Trump didn't attend the funeral and also stayed away from the ceremony honoring former First Lady Barbara Bush. But he did attend the funeral of former President George H.W. Bush, where he received a frosty reception from his predecessors seated alongside him. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.